Okay, today we're going to look at adding and subtracting decimals. Now it's actually the same as adding and subtracting without decimals. You're just going to be pretty much putting a decimal place directly under where it is in your question. Let me show you what I mean. So here I've got 3.21 plus 4.65. Now remember, when we pronounce decimals, we don't say 4.65, you just say the numbers, so 4.65. Okay, anyway, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding these two decimals together. Now notice how I've got them stacked on top of each other. When you're doing decimal questions, I find that it's always really useful to stack your decimals directly on top of one another, because that way you won't ever get confused with mixing up decimal places and stuff. So what I'm going to do is, as always, when you're doing adding or subtracting, we're going to start on the right hand side, and I'm going to be adding these numbers together. So 1 plus 5 gives me 6, 2 plus 6 gives me 8, I'm putting my decimal place directly under where it is in my question, and then 3 plus 4 gives me 7. Easy peasy, right? Let's try this one. So here I've got 7.953 plus 21.58. So you'll notice that this number up here has 3 decimal places, whereas this one here only has 2, but that's okay, so long as my decimal places are my decimal point, they're stacked on top of one another, directly on top of one another. I don't want to shuffle this down so that my 8 sits under the 3 or anything like that, because then I'm going to have very sad times, okay? Make sure they're stacked. So what I'm going to do, because this is only 2 decimal places, I'm going to put a filler in there, like a placeholder, because if you watch the last lesson, you'll remember that every single number has infinite zeros after it. So I can put as many zeros after this number as I need to solve my question. So I'm going to chuck a 0 here. Cool, now they've got the same number of decimal places. So 3 plus 0 gives me 3. 5 plus 8, ooh, okay, I'm going to have to do some carrying here. So 5 plus 8 will give me 13, so I'm going to put the 3 down and carry the 1. So now this is 1 plus 9, which is 10, plus 5, which is 15. So I put my 5 down and I carry the 1. But I can't forget to put my decimal place down. Sometimes I find it useful to write the decimal place before I start solving it, that way I don't forget to put it in later. Anyway, now here I've got 1 plus 7 plus 1, so 1 plus 7 is 8, plus another 1 is 9, and then I've just got a 2. There we go, so it's 29.533. Okay, now let's try some subtraction. Again, I've got them stacked directly on top of each other, the decimal points. So 4 take away 1 gives me 3, 7 take away 2 gives me 5, put my decimal place in directly under where it is in the question, and then 8 take away 3 gives me 5. So 5.33. What is my obsession with 5s and 3s today? Anyway, last one. So 9.246 take away 3.095. So starting on the right hand side, 6 take away 5 gives me 1. 4 take away 9, can't do that. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to borrow a number from this. So instead of 2, this is going to turn into a 1. And then this is going to turn into 14. So 14 take away 9 gives me 5. And this went from being a 2 to a 1, so now it's 1 take away 0 gives me 1. And then I put it in the decimal place. And then 9 take away 3 gives me 6. So 6.151. Awesome. The important things to know when you're doing adding and subtracting with decimals is just to make sure that your decimal places are directly lined up with each other when you're doing your question. Don't shuffle things across. Just make sure they're stacked. It doesn't matter how many decimal places are in your question, so long as these are stacked. You can always put zeros in if you need to. Okay, thank you for watching.